I'm George. This is GLLR Cars. Welcome to the channel. Today we're talking Cars and Cantina. This is an event that is hosted by Park Up Front. It is not associated with Cars and Coffee, but in the Dallas area. It was an event that started around the time that Cars and Coffee ended. It was no longer being hosted over there, and it is held in the Colony. It's one of the suburbs in the Dallas area, and it is hosted by Lava Cantina. And in the parking lot here, you get to register on the app. You get to basically reserve for about $10 or so a spot to display your car. And many of the cars that come out here are probably just cars that are kept in garages, or people that want to share their stories and their cars. And that's the idea behind the car community getting together and exploring some of the cars. Just to show you, we have a few cars here, like a Camaro and a Mazda over there, and a truck, a couple of Mercedes over there. I'm going to show you some Mustangs coming in. This is around the time that it starts. Some BMW 6 Series coming out there. There is a couple of BMWs where I'm parked, and an M3 next to my 440i. So yours truly's car is the one in white, and we have a couple of other. There's an M3 right here. Next to my 440i, and then the BMW 6 Series. Here's an M5, a little older M5. We've got some BMWs lined up here. So we try to keep it an Alpina B7. That's very unique. Try to keep it where some of the cars that park will be somewhat related, such as this Dodge Charger here, Scat Pack Dodge Charger, a Hemi engine. We have some Corvettes here on this side. Zr1 Corvette. Another Zr1. A Z06 Corvette. So this is a rarity. This is a Trans Am. We haven't seen some of these since maybe the 90s? Maybe just around the 2000s. So for some of the folks that remember the Trans Am, those were like the cooler looking Camaros for some folks. For some others, the Camaro was the way to go, but it didn't sell as much, and the Camaro was the one that won out. Some Mustangs over here, Boss 302. Good job on the wheels. Great paint job. Cadillac here. These Cadillacs are very fast. Ford Mustang GT. It's got some nice wing at the back. Very nice wheels there. I like what they did with the cap. Nice diffusers in the back, as well as this one. Very nice work there. Kind of neat one. It's like a kit car, but it's very well kept. All the parts are sticking outside, so it's the type of car that when you're driving down the street, everybody's going to take a look at it. And some people will do a double take. There's no hood, there's nothing covering the engine, so you get to see everything. SRTs over here, and Caddies. Old Ford Mustang here. That's a classic right there. A lot Dodge Challenger, Corvette. This is a Dodge Viper.
Yes, sir.
These slingshots are a lot of fun. It's a little chilly morning. It's in the low 40s, so it will be a little bit cold to be riding on a day like this. Make sure you have a cup of warm coffee to keep you warm in a car like this. It's nice how you can take the steering wheel from the car. Ford GT over here. You don't see many of these on the streets. Just don't. Most of these cars are kept in garages, but it is a gorgeous car. The lights are something special. Yeah, so this is based on that movie Ford versus Ferrari, where they had a Ford GT40, and it was created the earlier version. In that version there, it's the newer model, mostly handmade in Canada, and it is based on an allocation that one needs to write to Ford, and if they get the allocation, then they're able to get that car. So Lamborghini Aventador SV.
Ray, you know there's another SV. It is a huge one.
Look at the Rolls. Rolls Royce. This was AMG GT over there. AMG GT was featured in the Exotic Cars Expo. Bentley Continental GT. And I like the Ferraris. The Ferraris that have a front engine, such as this one. Well, I like the Uber tag on it. The Ferraris that have a front engine, I like the slick look because it's got the long hood and it's got a little bit more space for luggage and things in the back. But it's definitely a good look. May not have the handling and performance of a mid-engine Ferrari, but if you're looking for pure looks, this is the way to go. Look at this Porsche. You don't see every day. I like the belts that hold the hood in the bottom, and how it really doesn't have a bumper. It's all one shell that goes over it. This is a classic. It's got a sports look to it, where it's got the number on it, like if you were a racing car, number 26 to race the Ford. And you got a Corvette there. These classics, you don't see them every day, and when you see them, there is a certain sense of reminiscing what the old days looked like and what a car back then, when it was new, how good it looked. So if you're thinking about a car back in the 60s that looked like this, most of the time people look at them when they're already old, so they won't appeal as much as when they're well kept like this. And then you get an idea of what it was like standing in front of a car like this when it was fresh off the assembly line, and this is what they look like. It's a very impressive look. We have a few other, the Lotus, and we have a Lambo over there. Lotus is you don't see many of the Lotuses, but they're very small and light. What's impressive about these cars is that they usually weigh less than 3,000 pounds, and these Lotuses are quite a looker. They have nice look. I like the student driver sticker on it. And over here we got some of the Lambos and Maclarens coming in. A couple of Lambos here. Some of the reason why some of these cars come in together is because they're part of a club, and as such they all get together before they arrive, and they'll ride together over here. There was a Mercedes club, so a few Mercedes came together. The Lambos came together around the same time, as I'm showing here. A few, aside from the few that were already there, and then there will be a few cars that are modified, and like an older Mustang or something like that, and you can tell by the sound of the engine that some of these cars are heavily modified and deceptively fast and powerful, and you can tell from the sound of the engine, such as the one that's right here, that you probably don't want to race a car like that, even though it may not look like a Lambo or Ferrari or something exotic like that. So you have cars like that Mustang right there that by the sound you can tell that's been heavily modified. You have a Toyota Supra over there on the other side. You have an Audi R8. You got Corvette and three more Lambos coming in after that. Let's take a look at that Supra. This is a fairly new car. It's been heavily criticized because it gets most of its internal components from BMW, the engine, the transmission, but nevertheless it was tweaked by Toyota to be faster and efficient. So this is still a looker. I mean, it's a little bit of a in my opinion, it's still a looker. I think the rear part of it is the part that I don't like as much, but many folks like it. Some people hate it. I think it can polarize a few folks. I like the look of the Mercedes being as wide as they do it, and again, because it is a front wheel, sorry, it's a front engine, front mounted engine. Although they try to put it a little bit behind the front wheels, it does have a little bit of a mid-front engine. But it is definitely a looker. The AMG GT, so there's the GTS, there's the GTR. It has always been one of those cars that are just the type that you do a double take when you're driving down the road and you see one of these. Very aggressive, not just the outside, but the inside is very aggressive looking as well. I like that image of the stormtrooper wiping down the car. That's neat. Here's an M4 version of the car that I drive. This car was featured on a performance publication. Okay. Performance BMW UK December 2019. So this just came out on the Powerhouse on this M4. There's the cover right there. Like the Y-shaped lights on the Lamborghini Aventador. Get to take a look at the interior. I like how the center console is almost completely horizontal. It's a little diagonal, but it's compared to the ones that are very vertical, it's very nice. The mid-engine, massive engine. BMW i8 actually has a small engine, but because it has electric engine as well, it's pretty quick, but it's really a tiny engine that doesn't have a whole lot of power. But it's the type of car that is exotic looking that BMW made. If you go to any BMW dealership and you look at all the cars, and if they happen to have one of these in their showroom, this will be the one that we'll come up to and look at and see what is that thing. That's the reason why. McLarens are always been very fancy looking cars with wing doors. Nice interior, very similar to what I like about the new ones like the 720S is that they have a dashboard that actually changes. So when you put it in a certain mode, like track mode, the screen that is in the side, which is the larger screen, it will flip on the edge. The screen such as the one right there is actually something that retracts, so it will flip. And it'll be on the edge and you just get to see the numbers that appear for what you need for the track, so there won't be any distractions. Got a Pagani Huayra, which is very unusual.
He loves Max's lifted truck, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna work on it.
when you're talking a car that is costing you in the millions, you know, you're talking serious car here. What's interesting about a car like this is many people don't realize is the maintenance involved, and a car such as the Bugatti is just as outrageous as the price is. A typical maintenance in a car like this, it will involve things like oil change, tire rotation, tune-up, and things of that nature, is easily a six-figure amount to be able to get that level of maintenance done. And that's one of the reasons why it basically turns or makes other drivers turn it down, not just because of the cost of buying it, but it's the cost of maintaining it and the cost of ownership. How often do you see a Pagani Huayra? I believe this is the same Pagani that I saw at the Exotic Cars event a few months ago, about a month ago. And it is most likely a car that cost $2.3 million, a garage queen, because of what it would happen if you were to hit that carbon fiber, dent it or damage it. The cost that it would be to replace it. You usually have to replace the entire panel, and that's the reason why you probably wouldn't be very nervous to be driving that car around the streets all the time. Alright, so I was talking to an industry expert, a person that had worked for a few other car companies, and telling me about some of the electric technologies that are coming up. And one of my biggest complaints about electric cars are related to the amount of time it takes to charge the battery. That's what makes it very difficult to make it a practical car. If you can refill in about 2 minutes, or 3 or 5 minutes tops, a trip to the gas station is not an event. And today it is when you're talking about any electric car that you want to refill. And apparently there's work going on in that department to make it more practical. The electric charge network, expanding that is going to take some time, but at least it's something that will make it more practical as that refueling of electric network, I tend to call it gas station, expands. So some exciting things coming up, and by no means it's going to happen overnight, but it's something that's going to happen quickly, or it's going to happen slowly but surely. And they are exciting times because we are car enthusiasts who like performance, and electric vehicles have that instant torque. As such, the performance is somewhat improved, except for the range, and that's something, that's the other pet peeve of mine that we're hoping will change over time. So, good things ahead. Nice to be around some of the car owners that I was talking to here, and some of the industry experts that were around for this event. So, my name is George, this is GLLR Cars, and as always, drive safe.